Just to get us warmed up here, let's start by talking about a type of chart that you probably won't use all that often actually, but it's the pie chart. So what's the point of the pie chart? It's for qualitative data. And it shows the proportions. That's an important point. We're looking at the proportions, not the absolute numbers, of individuals or of measurements, of observations. Yeah, that's a better word. Observations. In each category. And important thing to remember is it must add up to 100%. So you can't leave any of the classes or the categories out. So what do you do? How would you do it? So if you're going to do this by hand, then what you would do is first of all calculate the proportions of the different classes, and then you multiply by 360 degrees, so that's for a whole circle, so you're looking at the proportion of 360 degrees for each class. And then you draw starting at the top of the circle. So let me show you what I mean with a simple example. So how about people who go to Premiership football matches? Which I don't understand why anyone would do that, but there you go. So we're looking at the amount of men and women who go, and these numbers are about right. So let's imagine we counted some people, and there were 355,000 men and 145,000 women. So that's a total of 500,000 people, conveniently. So that's the counts that we've got. So the next thing we do is to work out the proportion. So 355,000 out of 500,000 is 71%, or 0.71, and 145,000 out of 500,000 is 29%, or 0.29, if we're doing it as a proportion kind of out of 1, and this adds up to 100%. Then I multiply these numbers by 360 to get the angle that we're getting. So this would be 255.6 degrees, this would be 104.4 degrees, and again this adds up to 360, so that's going to make a circle. And then, I hope it's going to work when I paste it. Yep. You draw a circle and you start here at 12 o'clock and you measure 255.6 degrees here, and then this adds up and this will end up being 104.4, this angle here. So 255, 104, and then I've got a key with the men in blue, the women in orange. And there's my pie chart. Now this chart is useful because it shows we can see quite easily the proportions. So maybe you're surprised at the number of women there are. You can see that the orange part is quite a large chunk actually of the circle. So it shows the rough proportions, and this is good if you only have a few. So I would not use this for more than 3 or 4 different categories, because otherwise it gets too messy if you have lots of tiny little categories. So yeah, probably, I don't know, 4 is probably the maximum you want to look. And it's not good for looking at the very subtle differences between two different classes, just to get the idea of the proportion of the total that we've got in the different categories. But in this case, I think it works quite well. Subtle differences. So that's the pie chart.